Just a little bit of perspective. All right. So just introduce yourself again real quick.
What's up, guys? My name is Goldwyn big shot bouncer in New York City. I'm 6'10".
Are you also tough? You know how to fight?
Well, I could show you if you want.
No, that's all right. That's
Sure.
all right.
I mean, no good bouncer ever really wants to get in a big fight unless it's necessary. I think anybody that hires a big bouncer wants to know that they could also do it if the situation arises. I've been in a few fights. You know, I don't want to seem too frank, but I've messed up a few people. I've broken a few bones, but by all means, I was in the right. So I checked the door was locked. And, you know, I patiently waited for like 30 seconds to a minute, knocking lightly, asking if anybody was in there. Nobody answered, but I could clearly hear like shuffles going on, like something was going on in there. So eventually, I got a little, you know, aggravated, started banging on the door. Now I'm not knocking anymore. Eventually I hear like a real aggressive voice says, "Yo, what the hell do you want, man?"
You can say fuck.
I can say that. You know, but yeah, the person said that to me. I'm like, "Yo, we're closing up shop. It's time for you to go. What the hell you doing in there?" And the guy's like, "Yo, leave me the fuck alone." So I'm like, "All right, cool." At that point, when he said that, went for a knife around the bar, picked the lock and went in there myself. This guy is poached up on the sink, shearing out cocaine.
Oh man.
And putting it in his little bags to sell for the next day. So I see this and I'm like, one, if the wrong people see this, if a cop comes in here or a cop sees him leaving, a cop that knows that he's a drug dealer sees him leaving my club, it's gonna be a big deal. I reached for the cocaine, he slapped my hand away, pulled out a knife at me. To be honest with you, in the bathroom, a guy pulls a knife at me. There's 4 walls, there's 1 door. There's not much you could do when a guy pulls a knife at you. When you look in that guy's eyes, you only see, I wouldn't say so much fear as it is stupidity, because what he's doing is just stupid, but he's trying to protect himself and his merchandise at the same time. So he comes at me with a knife, and this guy's about maybe like 5'2", 5'3", not really a big guy. He's amped up. You looked in his eyes, you couldn't even see the person inside of him. You just saw something else. I didn't know quite what it was, but it just wasn't a person inside, you know? And the guy comes at me with a knife, and he comes at me in a motion like he's trying to push the knife up like this, like he's trying to like get me from under my throat or something. So I see him and you know, he came at me and I just wrapped him up in an armbar and brought him right down face first to the bathroom floor, took the knife away from him, put both of his hands behind him and put my knee right in the back of his neck. And he could not move. I grab him up, put him in a chokehold until he calms down. I held him in the chokehold until his breathing got so amped up that he had no choice but just to sit down and be calm. It's bare muscles and it's also being cocky. Maybe you think you look good and I mean chicks are feeling you, so you just get cocky all of a sudden and nobody can talk to you, you know, you're above all the authority in the club. Right. You know, if you're cocky and you have beer muscles, it's a remedy for destruction. Unfortunately for a guy like me, the cops come and the first thing they'll ask me, they will come up to me first. Even if I had nothing to do with the situation, just the fact that I'm present at the scene, usually I'm the first guy that the cops come up to. And they'll always come up to me and they'll say, "Hey, big man, what's up? Tell us a story. What did you do?" That's the first thing they'll say to me. You know, they don't know if I was involved, they don't know if I did it or not, or they just did. That's the first thing they say to me. They come up to me, "Hey, big man," and they always come up to me like that. You know, like, "Hey, big man, what happened here? Tell us, what did you do?" You know, being as big as I am, you know, I'm bigger than the average guy. If I do something really out of line and I mess somebody up and the cops come, to be honest with you, before I could even give a statement, I'm gonna be in cuffs. You are not allowed to just bust somebody's skull open unless they hit you first, or unless they do something extremely out of line. Maybe like a decade ago, it wasn't quite like that. I mean, I've heard stories where bouncers would just mess people up, throw them in the garbage bin for the garbage man to find them the next morning, you know? All bouncers are required to be licensed. Like, you gotta take fingerprints, and then you gotta apply after the fingerprints for the license. You gotta go to take classes, you gotta find a school, and you can't just find any school.
So wait a second, there is bouncer school?
You imagine that, yeah, there is. Bouncers, I guess people look at bouncers and they say, you know what, bouncers are the big dudes in the clubs that throw people out in them. I'm never looking for anything to happen. When I leave my house in the night to go to work, you know, I always say to myself, you know, God, please let nothing happen so I can come home safe and not feel bad about myself or feel bad for somebody else. But the one thing I honestly could say that I hate, and I hate very much, is when cocky bastards come in the club and they feel like they own the club. Maybe they look good, maybe they think they look good, maybe they have a little muscle thing going on, I don't know, maybe they just got from the gym, maybe they all juiced up, maybe they all coked up, I don't know, but you know, they cocky and they come up in the club. So when people like that come in my club, per se, and they act up, and they disrespect people, and they think they're above the authority in the club, those are the people that I really want to mess up so I could mess them up. Not to say that I want to mess up anybody, but people like that, some of the times, it's the only way you could get something across to them. Whenever I forget that I'm a big guy, whenever I hit my head on something, I think that the majority of people, before they speak to me, before they have somewhat of a good conversation with me, have some level of fear. If I was 5'1", and I saw a guy like me, I'm sure I would think, holy shit, you know what, let me stay out of this guy's way.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're wondering, all right, I'm gonna take this shit, but if the dude has a gun, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, that goes through my mind every time there's a fight in a bar and I'm involved in it. That's the first thing that's on my mind, and it's the one thing that remains on my mind throughout the whole fight and even after that fight has transpired. It's the one thing that's always on my mind. It doesn't take any more than a bullet to the right place to end the person's life. And that's the one thing that has no respect for size, that has no respect for how rich you are, how poor you are, how famous you are. That's the one thing I feel that is a respecter of nothing. If it hits you in the right place, it's game over. I live with my wife. I'm married for 5 years, 5.5 years. I have a kid. We have like a really good family understanding, a really good, strong family unit thing going. You know, I could honestly say that my wife, as strong as I am, emotionally, physically, as a man, I'm pretty sure that my wife, as a woman, would be somewhat as strong as I would, as a woman would be, you know?
She can still kick your ass?
Well, she could do it in the bed if she wanted to. I don't think she could do it anywhere else, but you know, there's always room for entertainment with us. We always play fight a lot, and I think women in essence somewhat like that. It's good foreplay, you know. I call women like that, I call size queens. They like big men. They go crazy with big men. They like to feel dominated in some sense. They like to feel like, hey, shit, I'm stranded here. I can't move. I can't do anything. You know, he's got me. But yeah, man. You know, I have a good family. I thank God for that. You know, and I mean, that's the one thing that I could put my money on. That I have a good family, and I have a family that would stick with me. They have my back. You know, so I'm grateful for that.
All right. All right. We're rolling here. Just gonna get an idea.
What's up, guys? My name is Goldwyn. I'm a big guy bouncer in New York City, also a professional wrestler. In that club around maybe like 1:30, 2 in the morning. I think what I heard that started the whole fight was a guy allegedly touched somebody else's girl the wrong way, and the boyfriend for that girl took it personal, and it was a full-on brawl in the club. It escalated in a matter of seconds. Come on, there's some people dying in here. I see this girl, she's busted open, and she's just going on and on and on. And her lips are going like 500 miles an hour. So I run inside and I see a girl in the middle trying to part like 4 dudes, and the dudes are just slapping the girl around. So I mean, like, no real man is gonna like want to see that. I don't think you're gonna really want to see that for too long, if not at all, you know. So the moment I saw that, I ran right through the crowd, and I felt like maybe like an offensive tackle for a second, because I was just like going through everybody, and at that point, I really didn't care who I was hitting, bad or good. I just wanted to get the girl out of there. Once I got her out of there, then I could do anything. So I battered my way through, and I just like pulled everybody out of the way, and I grabbed her. And when she looked at me, she was like, "What am I doing?" I'm like, "I'm getting your ass out of here." Grabbed her hand and I pulled her out. I went back in the crowd, and this was probably one of the few times I ever just lost it and got really physical. And I honestly could say I just started yanking people out. I just started choking people and just dragging them out.
So you think you lost control a little bit, maybe?
I would say I probably lost control about 5%, if you know what I mean. But I lost control because the situation was so overwhelming. And at that point, talking is not gonna do it. Being mildly physical is not gonna do it. It's a full-on brawl, and you have bottles flying and people getting hurt. I just lost it, and I was like, you know what? I know if I don't do my job, I'm not gonna have a job tomorrow night, as big as I am. Nobody cares if you can't do your job. So I just literally started going over to people, and I could remember there was another guy there who was about 6'5", and he was my good buddy. And we had this little arrangement going that we were like, if anything was to happen, it was just gonna be me and him doing our thing, taking people out. So I made signal to him, and I was like, "Yo, come over here." He came over, he had my back for a minute or two, and I would yank everybody up, throw everybody to him, and he would just yank them up and throw them out the door. And this was literal. Like, literally, I would bang them up like this, choke them for like a second or two until I like hear them like cough or something. Then I would just pass them on to the other guy, and the other guy would just throw them out. Now, once we got them out, we would just lock the door.
Right.
And he would wait until I grabbed the other guy up and pass him on to him. And that's how we did it. It was about, I want to say about 6 to 9 guys was just acting real crazy, and we got out about 6 or 7 of them.